You sat on the G20, and in particular with the finance ministers, with Saudi Arabia in particular. Saudi Arabia has got a very unusual but very delicate position in all this as the supplier of most of the world's oil, but at the same time having tried to really create some peace with the United States and with Israel, but then not breaking its Arabic Brotherhood.
Well, to be honest, Ross, I watched an interview in the United States between Brett Baer from Fox News and MBS from Saudi Arabia. And it was in that interview that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia said in a very revealing manner that Saudi Arabia was now very close to a negotiated settlement with the United States and Israel on the Palestinian issue. That would have infuriated the Iranians, absolutely infuriated them, who are the sworn enemies of Saudi Arabia. And of course, I can't help but think that there was some direct link between the sentiment in that interview and exactly what happened with the invasion of Israel in the last few days. This is a fragile time. Obviously, a spike in oil prices helps Russia, but at the same time, it potentially helps Iran. And obviously, if there is going to be a very significant and widespread outbreak of war in the Middle East, it will have a profound impact on the US economy, the Western European economy, through higher inflation as a result of higher oil prices.
And of course, at the time that you've got the US going to an election, a very close fought election potentially, you've also got the issue of the support for Ukraine in its war with Russia, because clearly any division in the West that could break any of that support for Ukraine is also a win for Russia.
Well, you know, I'm going to go even further here, Ross. Nikki Haley is now emerging as the number 2 candidate in the Republican race to Donald Trump, and she's ahead of Ron DeSantis on some polls. She said, and she's a former UN ambassador for the United States, she said in the last 2 days that Israel should not only reinvade Gaza, but should go further, implying explicitly that they should take out Iran. Now, if Israel does go into Iran, you are going to see the entire Middle East on fire, which is quite extraordinary. One of the reasons why the Republicans are running so hard on this issue is because Joe Biden just did a $6 billion deal with Iran to release some of the Iranians' embargoed money in exchange for American prisoners. So there are so many moving parts here. The bottom line is that we are in one of the most challenging geopolitical environments of the last 30 years. And I know that's a big statement, but it's very real, because it has the potential to draw Western countries into fights in the Ukraine, on the eastern side of the Ukraine, and also significantly now in the Middle East.
In history, you and the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese created the Parliamentary Friends of Palestine. So in many ways, you're very familiar with the issues and the pressures of those people inside the Gaza Strip and those areas now being affected by the Israeli bombardment. But then on the other side, you have also been very close to Israel over a very long period also. So, you know, this is, as I say, this is an area which is very familiar to you, even going back inside to your family history.
Well, it is. And, you know, there have been many, many days that, like many of my Jewish friends and many of my Palestinian friends, when, as an outside observer, you pray and hope for peace. Now, peace has been unachievable in the Middle East for so long. There are 2 Palestines. Of course, there's the West Bank, run by the Palestinian Authority, which in a sense, it recognises Israel's right to exist and a 2-state solution. And then there's Gaza, where Hamas, fueled by the Iranians, has taken a much more militant approach towards Israel. and has never agreed to peace, as is the same in Hezbollah or in Lebanon, where they've just never agreed to leave, to recognise Israel, let alone to leave it in a peaceful state. So there are so many provocations, and at times on both sides. But what this has done is it's unfortunately galvanising all of the angst, anxiety, bereavement of the last 50 years, and it's turning it into a modern conflict. How to pull back from this? I don't know. I mean, if someone invaded Australia, took our citizens as hostages, threatened to execute them on global media, how would we react? Well, we would go in very hard, very quickly, exactly the way Israel is responding. I don't think there's anyone that could convince Israel not to proceed with its action in Gaza, and you can perfectly understand Israel's position. How to get out of this? How to at least, the first thing is you want to try and start to limit it. So you don't want it to spread to Iran, you don't want it to spread to Lebanon, and you want to try and contain the military activity to Gaza. But I fear that's going to be very difficult to achieve.
And I was going to say that if you were put in there as the broker, where would you start to try and solve this, to limit that activity?
Well, it's a great question. It comes back to what people's motivations are. And I can't help but think that the motivation of Hamas has been, fueled by Iran. It's just, there's just no argument about it. And now you're seeing declared positions from Pakistan, from Turkey, from Russia. All of their leaders are saying, that they are declaring that if the United States gets directly involved in this issue, there could be very significant ramifications. So, I can't help but feel that at this very moment, we are on the cusp of an unintended war of a scale of 1914. And hopefully saner and more, credible minds are going to prevail. But I don't know where those voices are going to come from in this current environment.
Joe Hockey, always good to have you and get your insight in this on something that you clearly have a deep understanding of. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ross, and great to be with you and your viewers.